And this is The Pretty Little Death. My name is Christina Lynn, or The Critic.
My name is Cassie, and I'm the bestie.
And we
And
have a couple of announcements to make before we get into everything. But
right.
first, I like the dark, the dark, 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 dark,
hmm
and the even darker. And um, I think our monthly read kind of goes into that a little bit. What I
A
can't
little.
stand though are the academic setted books. Like they just
Yeah,
there's a little something
we'll get
about them.
into it.
We're gonna
I
get
think,
into it.
yeah,
Yeah. What about you, Cass? What do you like and what do you not like?
I feel like my number one, of course, is the lifestyle BDSM stuff.
Hmm.
And then under that would be Monster, you know?
Oh, come on, let's be
Uh,
real. You want the romanticy shit. Okay, that's the
I
stuff
like,
you
okay, I
want.
like romantasy. I like to be wooed, okay? I
That's
think a
that's
lot of
fine.
my picks are just not the hot and heavy, like, you know, uh uh smut, not smut, I guess, lust at first sight. That's not what I'm about. I think it's more like, oh, I'm going to seduce you, and I like, okay, I guess I like a slow burn, okay?
Yeah,
All
you
right, I
do
like a
like
slow burn.
it can still be hot if it's a slow burn. It's still burning.
I think it's hotter as a slow burn.
I have a couple of
So,
stickers for you that just are like so I got a lot of stickers cuz I ended one of my book clubs. The book club that
okay, that's right.
primarily sends me stickers. So I found some stickers on Amazon and I think you're going to like them. A lot of them are like it's romantasy or nothing kind of thing. So
Yep.
I think you're gonna like him. Um,
Yay!
our our announcements first, and then we'll get to the book because like
Yes.
I'm just too excited. For those of you that don't know, we have launched a podcast. Right now, those there are episodes available, and they are being released until we catch up to current. Because of course, we have a couple of discussion videos every month. Our book of the month for the Pretty Little Smut Book Club, or
Mhm.
you know I haven't come up with a better name yet, but there is a playlist on the channel that's in French for the book club. And then our discussion about different series. So our very first
Mhm.
series, it took us a while to get through it, was the Akatar series by
Mhm.
Sarah J. Moss. And we have moved on from that. Thank goodness. And we've moved into some others that we're going to start discussing next because the third book for that series is going to come out in August, and we are very excited about it. I think this has become one of our favorite series that we have recommended to each other and then discussed.
Mhm.
And
Yes.
so that's going to be our August book pick. Um, but Cass decided to um, recommend a book for this month that I actually read. I read most of the series. I have most of the series, and she's just now getting into it. It
Mhm.
is one of the few that I could actually stand that's in an academic setting. Cass, what book did you pick?
I picked Broken Bonds and oh gosh, I really bad. You have the author, Jay Bree.
J. Bree.
Um Jay Bree. Sorry, Jay Bree. uh
This is a six
I
book series.
6 book series.
Mm-hmm.
It is an academia about teenagers with superpowers. But it's kind of got this hierarchy kind of structure going on called the bonds and the bonded. And it's definitely romantic based
Mm-hmm.
or kind of pairing of people who are going to end up being sexual. That's how the act of having sex is the way to secure the bond between the bond and their bonded. Sounds like people can have multiple bonds. Sounds like people can have multiple bonded, which causes a lot of drama, as you can imagine. Our protagonist is Oleander. I think Oli is how I read it the whole time,
I
or
kept saying
Ollie.
Ollie, but
Ollie. I like Ollie better. It's
See,
better short.
here we are just rewriting people's names every single chance we get. It's not Reese,
Uh,
it's Rye.
mhm. That's
Yeah,
true.
yeah.
But I think it's technically Oli because it's short for oleander. And she is captured at the very beginning of the book by this resistance, who it sounds like they're a group of people who are against this whole um, very powerful organization of bonds. Um, because I feel like how it was, and you correct me if I'm wrong, but it sounds like there are some very, very powerful central bonds
Mm-hmm.
that are kind of a threat to other people who either are giftless or to other powerful organizations. The only antagonist in this book is the main antagonist to
Mm-hmm.
most people of the Draven University that these kids attend, um, is the resistance. And they are constantly being hunted throughout the book. Um, kids are turning up dead or missing all the time. And it's made very clear that Oli is running from the resistance from day one, and
Mm-hmm.
that she's hiding her power. She's got it stuffed deep inside her because it is very powerful, we think.
We
We're
think.
not sure yet.
We're not sure
Uh,
because it never comes
because
out.
it never comes out throughout the entire book until the very end.
The very end. I'm trying not to
Very like
spoil
last 20
anything.
pages.
I'm trying not to spoil anything for you. I really,
Yeah, no, I know.
I don't care about spoilers. I don't care.
I do.
She does.
I'm okay. I only don't if I'm not going to continue reading, but I am going to read at least the second book because I am intrigued. I do like a good. Okay, so my gripe is with the characters, of course, but the plot is good.
Mhm.
Plot's good, guys. I like where this is going. I think
There's just enough information there to make it intriguing. Like,
right.
what is her
Exactly.
power? And her whole thing is like, she doesn't want to cement the bonds because it would make her power grow exponentially, which each bond she has, and she's got like
Mhm.
5 of them.
5.
5.
Yes. So let's read their names out because this
Oh my
drove
gosh.
me that this
Okay.
scratched my skin.
Do you want the last names as well, or
Yes,
just the
please.
first? Oh, damn it! Hold on, I gotta find them all.
That's okay.
We've
I
got
only know one,
we've got
Atlas Passenger.
Atlas Bassinger. He's from a family back east who's on a different council of gifted.
Mhm.
He is a trust fund baby. Uh, and he does not care that she's been on the run or anything like that. Um,
Yeah.
as soon as Ollie found out, Oli found whatever, found out that she had bonds at the ripe old age of 14, she hit the road. Like, she was like,
Gross.
um, as far as we know, she hit the road. So they capture
Yeah.
her at 19. Um,
Mhm.
uh, Atlas Bassinger, he's only a couple of months older than her. He's also 19, was studying back east, and then transfers to Draven U. Then there is Knox Draven, who is, get this, also a couple of months older than Ollie. Um,
Yeah.
his family founded the school. He is one of her professors.
I know. How? And that's so yeah. Anyway, continue.
Then there is Gabriel Alaturn, also a couple of months older than Ollie.
Yeah.
He's on the football team as attending Draven U. Um,
Yeah.
and then we have her two older bonds. There is
Yeah.
North Draven, who is
Mhm.
Knox's brother, 10 years older than Ollie. He is a council member. And then, oh, what is Griffin's last name? I always forget Griffin's last name. It's said so very infrequently.
It
I
is.
think it's in the very beginning. So, one moment, let me get to
You're
the
good. You're good.
beginning of this book. Um, okay.
Stand by while
Yep,
we look.
because I didn't write any of this stuff down.
I wrote down some notes as in my thoughts. I did not write down their last names.
Shore, Shore, Griffin Shore.
Sure. Griffin
Also
Shore.
10 years older, he is best friend to Knox for some reason, but he and North are best friends. Um,
Yep.
so that's that thing. Of course, all of them are rich. Even Ollie, even though she's not, like she doesn't have wealth on her, she
No.
comes from a family with money, who are killed in the very first chapter in the prologue.
Yeah.
Um, they chip her with a GPS unit,
Hmm. She's
and
microchipped like a
they
dog.
found her. They found her. She's been
Yes.
on the run, and they found her because, of course, not only when she bonds to these five men will her power increase, but so will all of theirs because she is the central. Um,
Yes. Which
so
is like, I think it treated like, is it treated like the source of their power or
no, I
just
don't
like
think it's
more,
a source, but
they grow
it's like
more
the hub
powerful?
of a wheel though. Like
Okay.
they can all share the energy or the power amongst themselves because they're all connected to her.
Got
Does
it.
that make
Okay.
sense?
It wasn't super
it's
clear.
it's never really clarified.
Okay.
Um, but being essential has some benefits, like she can. Never mind. I'm not gonna say anything that's in the next book.
You're too ahead. Anyways,
Sorry.
so
I'm on book three
she gets
again. This is like
captured
the third time
by,
I've read this series. Okay.
I know, this is the third time.
Yeah.
Uh, so she gets captured by her bonded. They're all angry with her.
Hmm. Well,
It's
the
only the
four that are
four.
there.
Atlas, yeah, Atlas is
Atlas.
across the country.
Yep.
Uh, they all hate her. They all are complete and utter dickheads to her. But to be
Because
fair,
she.
Oli is a complete bitch this
Yes,
entire book.
she is being so obstinate. It's
She is
unbelievable.
insufferable to listen to
Oh my
or
gosh, to
read.
read. Listen, read. This is in first person for almost all of it. Um,
Yeah,
First person from her perspective for the first book at least.
yeah. She complains constantly.
Non-stop.
Like I feel
Not to
like
them
it's a
though.
nonstop.
Not like she
No,
doesn't complain to them. She's just
she complains to the audience.
yeah.
Whoever's reading, you get an earful of all her thoughts, all her insecurities, and right now she's at the lowest of her low,
Yeah.
um, which
And it's kind
I
of
mean is
fourth wall
relatable.
breaking. Like there are parts
Yeah.
that are very fourth wall breaking. Like there's a
Yes.
point where Atlas like is in gym shorts or something like that, and he's
Of
like
course.
running. No, Gabriel's running, and she's like, "Well, of course I'm going to look." I'm just like,
I know
"Bitch,
that
do
totally
you
brought me out
know
of
you're
it.
in a book? Is that what you
That
know? Do
totally
you
brought
know
me
you're
out
in a
of it.
book? Like, are you just telling this story to some fictional audience within a story? Like, is this your memoir or something?" That's the thing I hate about first person point of view. Is it?
There were a couple little bumps like that where we're
It's
just
just
like I was just reading along and be like,
mm-mm.
"Excuse me?"
Um.
Um
So because I
the
have,
only
go ahead, go ahead.
sorry,
I'm sorry. No, go ahead.
the redeeming factor is that she is a teenager. She's 19,
She's
so
written
she
like a
gets a pass.
16-year-old.
She is, but I think she's a little emotionally stunted with her parents being gone now. So I
Yes.
think she gets a pass. She gets a pass.
They were killed at the age of 14, and major trauma does kind of
it stunts your
It stunts your
emotional
emotional
growth.
growth. So I mean, and maybe it's anyways.
At least I have to keep that in mind in order to keep reading, because
Okay.
that's and I didn't say this, but I very nearly DNF'd. I only just finished reading this book yesterday. I
And
waited till the very last minute.
I know I've been texting because I had read it before, like I said.
Mhm.
Um, so when you told me what book it was, I was like, I think you're gonna kind of like this. Oh, but there is some, and so for the last couple of weeks, like I've just been waiting because every time
Mhm.
I checked in, Cass was like, "Girl, I don't know if I can do this. I hate her. I hate everyone. Everyone's so stupid." I was just like, "Come on, you got it. Just come on." Rule
Just bite the
number
bullet.
3 of the Pretty Little Smut Book Club is no DNFs, and we both had
I
pulled one
know.
before, so we got to get through
Mhm.
this. Um,
Yep.
and then she was like, "I don't know," and I was like, "Listen, we got a couple of days before we got to sit down and talk about it." So I pulled it out. I was like 65% the way in before you were like, "Okay, fine, I'll get back to it." I was like, "What
Yeah.
chapter are you on?" Because I figured like if I could at least meet you to where you were chapter wise, then like I could
Yeah.
at least talk you through it. And then I was like, "I'm at 65%. Where are you?" And you said, "I'm at chapter 4." I was like, "Oh my gosh." Oh my gosh. I was like, "Just keep
Yep.
going. Just keep going. It'll draw you
Yeah.
in."
And it did. It did draw me in. There was a point where I was, maybe it's because I don't have a whole lot of experience with the academia
Mhm.
genre, especially dark academia, because I that's apparently a huge thing.
Yeah.
Uh, so I think it did draw me in, her having to interact with all these students, the teachers. Um, there's we didn't get to that part yet, but it did draw me in.
Mhm.
Let's just and I was able to complete the book. It's a very short book. I think it's less than 260
Mhm.
pages, something around there.
Would you like to know how many
Um,
pages it is? I know you have the physical book, but my Kindle
yeah.
is telling
I
me.
don't actually. No, Kindle. I read it on Kindle.
Oh, on okay, I'm thinking of the other books. I'm sorry. Okay, so my Kindle says that there are 423 pages.
Oh,
It doesn't read like it's 423 pages though.
not at all. Not at
Like
all. It
there's
was
just
very easy to get
it was
through.
very easy to get through. I don't know if it's because there's a lot of fluff in it.
It's so much fluff. There's so much fluff. I feel like the actual substance of this book, what actually happens, a lot of it happens in the latter
Yeah.
third, which is kind of like a Sarah J. Maas book.
Yeah.
Um, and it's kind of just completely ramps up from there. Um, ends on a cliffhanger that's a pretty good cliffhanger. Uh, but so she arrives at this university. She's told she has to take these classes. She has a freaking microchip in her back that tracks where she goes. She has a curfew. Uh, and one of her bonds, who's the most asshole of the five of them, is one of her teachers. So
Mhm.
she's not having a good time, and you hear about it. She does end up
Constantly.
making constantly. She does end up making a good friend named Sage, who is a real one. I really like Sage, obviously.
I
She's
do
cool.
too. I don't like insta best friends though. Like I know I've
No, I
said that
don't.
before, and it's exponentially worse when they're like, "You're my best friend now," and I'm just like,
That's not
"That's
that's
not
not authentic.
no." But these two bond over the
Being
being
the black
unbonded.
sheep.
Yes, black sheep
Yeah.
unbonds
Yes.
for different
And that's
reasons.
kind of, for at least in my opinion, I think that's a strong enough uh reason to really latch on to each other, and they kind of did it for a safety reason at
Yeah,
first, and then they realized that they actually really, do like each other's company, and
they get along really
they
well. They complement each
they get
other.
along really well. Yeah.
So while she's at the university, of course, she's getting, you know, talked about and maligned and stuff like that. She's not using any of her gift around the
No.
other students. They all think she doesn't have a gift because nobody can find the spark of her gift in her.
Yeah.
So they are like
They
relentless.
tease her. They're extremely she's being bullied constantly.
Yeah,
Um, she does know how to hold her own though. She
yeah.
doesn't let shit slide. She almost started a fight with the other bond of Sage at
Hmm.
a party.
Yeah.
Um,
Like I don't.
and
She is really like. I will say this: she doesn't let stuff slide. She doesn't let
yeah,
stuff slide, but she doesn't actually throw hands at all. Like
no, she
no,
lets them make the first
she
move,
lets them make
but
the
she
first move.
does.
I mean, but she
She has
hasn't.
some
She cuts with her words more often than not.
exactly.
She's definitely a more bark than bite type. But
Hmm.
that's because she doesn't want to accidentally kill anybody, as she
Ah,
keeps saying.
exactly.
She keeps, I don't want them to die. Like, I
She
can't
she keeps
release.
referring to herself as well, not literally, but it feels like something is gonna happen, like it's like a nuclear bomb's gonna go off if
Yeah,
she gets
worked up.
too angry and worked up,
Yeah,
whether it's sexually or, emotionally, which you find out too
yeah.
later on.
Um,
And that's, I think, just a common trait among the bond with their bonded, where if they haven't secured the bond yet, i.e., having sex, they're kind of drawn together like magnets, and they, at some point, they really can't control themselves, or they have a really difficult time. Like it's painful
it's
to
yeah.
control themselves. Um, so
It's the slowest of slow burns for this book
it
series.
really is. If you want an enemies to lovers,
This is it
this is the
times
one.
five.
This
Um,
is the one because they all freaking hate her. They
and
all hate her.
yeah, like, and she keeps saying to herself, like, remember, you did this to save them. You did this, and like she's even
It's like
said
a
to a couple,
mantra.
to a, only a couple of people, I think, in the first book, like, no, I ran to protect them. Like, I didn't,
Yeah.
I wanted them. I've wanted them forever. I still want them. I just can't do anything about it because they will die.
Mhm.
I gotta keep my mouth shut though. So,
I have some theories, but I want to discuss theories later. So let's get through the book
yes.
here.
Sorry.
She attends her, no, it's okay. She attends her classes. Um, there's this class that one of them signs her up for tactical training.
Yeah.
So it's a bunch of physical. It's basically boot camp for the gifted,
Hmm.
uh, and it's run by a coach that has a female name. It's like Vivian or something. I forgot. Um, but he's a complete dickhead to all of them too. So, but she's in the class with Gabe. I think Sage is in there as well as a couple of their bully females that are hanging off of Gabe all the time. Uh,
And it doesn't happen to
and
just Gabe. It happens to all of them whenever they're out and about.
yeah, it's very clear that they are sexually sexual objects. Like they just are chick magnets. People are hanging off of them all the time.
Yeah.
And it annoys Sage, or I'm sorry, it annoys Oli because she's there bonded. So she has this like innate feeling of anger and envy because she is meant to be. They're technically meant to be together. They're
Right.
fated to be together with this magical power. Uh, the tactical training eventually leads to this kind of Harry Potter like magic maze. Uh, like not boot camp,
Don't
but
get me started
what's it
on
called? Like
this
it.
obstacle course section. Like,
Yes, thank you. Obstacle
it's
agility
so.
course.
Like, every time I read it, I'm like, I don't understand what's actually happening here. Other than people are
Nothing does
trying.
happen.
She
How did
continues
she
to
survive so
succeed.
long? Did she turn invisible? Like I don't
So, okay,
understand.
there is a
It's
scene
not well written there.
there is a scene that's in the maze when they send her through this maze. They don't do it very often. The maze is like how they weed out who's actually going to be part of the TAC team. But
Yeah.
in it, like the obstacle course and the maze have the ability to adapt to the people that are inside of it. That's how they initially explain it. Um,
Yeah.
in a subsequent book, now that I realize. Um, and one of the obstacles happens to be like this room or something that's filled with a pond with a creature in it that all of the students lovingly called the pond bitch.
Yes.
Um, and she is able to, like, they don't, they are always talking about having to sacrifice someone to get past the pond bitch, and they tell Gage that they should just use Ollie. Ollie
Yeah.
overhears this and decides that she's gonna split off from her team and go her own way and try to like circumvent whatever this obstacle is. She doesn't,
Hmm.
but she does somehow get around this creature,
Hmm.
and she doesn't understand why everybody's so concerned about her because it wasn't very hard.
It
Um,
wasn't difficult for her. Yeah.
Come to find
She's like,
out, it's
whatever.
because the creature feeds on your fear.
Yeah.
Ollie's not
It's
afraid
like a
of anything.
Dementor from Harry Potter.
Right. Ollie's not afraid of anything because the only thing she's afraid of is bonding with her bonds.
Yes. Yeah.
That's how she gets past it. But that's not really explained very well,
And no,
like at
I didn't
all.
know that.
Yeah. I don't think it actually
But it
comes
makes
up again in the
sense.
second one. So,
Okay.
yeah.
It makes sense because they do a little debrief. She actually gets a little bit of street cred on that because she's one of the only ones that survives, and she's giftless
Right.
according to everybody else.
So she
So
doesn't have any
the coach,
speed or strength or
yeah,
any kind of enhancements due to her
and
bond because she
yeah,
has no gift and she's unbonded. And she does talk about her bond as if it's another person. Like, I think
she
that's
does.
very important. Like, she always talks about, oh, my bond is a cantankerous bitch. Like
Yeah,
is it your bond or is it your gift? Apparently they're the one and the same though. So I even
it
to
doesn't feel like
I've
it in
read
the beginning,
5
at the
of the
very
6
least.
books and I still don't understand. So,
Oh, and the drinking game, take a shot every time she says bond. You'll get plastered by like
oh
page
yeah,
3.
by page, yeah. Let's not make a
She
drinking
says
game
it
of that.
way too much, way too much. Um,
It's going to get
so
worse. Just so you know,
after
it gets
it,
worse.
yeah, I figured. So after she defeats the swamp bitch, she has a little bit of street cred now. They are a little bit more respectful to her. At least she's not getting beat up on by random chicks.
Yeah, that did
Um,
happen. The couple of times she went through the regular obstacle course, someone
yeah,
knocked her ass out.
yeah.
Like, it
And
sent
then
everybody in a tizzy over that.
she and Gabe start to become more friendly because he recognizes that she is very similar to him and that they're both kind of lone wolf asshole, like stay away from me,
Mm,
but also very strong, like strong willed.
yeah,
Um, so, and she's always talking about how attractive he is and how she has to suppress her bond inside. Uh, and then here, let me look through my notes here because I'm forgetting what happens after that.
but I can take
She
from there if you'd like.
Yeah, please do, because
So
I remember when that happens.
they are, they have just talked about like maybe not coming for each other's throats so
Mhm.
much when they are on their way, because Gabe has to walk her to her classes. They share classes together. The only
Yeah.
time that they're not together is when he's in football practice. He is
Mhm.
required by the bond group to walk her everywhere on campus. Like, there's always to be a bond with her.
They're
Um,
just afraid of her running off again.
right. Which is why they put a GPS chip in it, which has a proximity sensor to an out, like a boundary that apparently could explode her brain or something. Like, it's
Oh my
like,
god.
did you not
I totally did not catch that.
that? Yeah,
That's
there's
like
that's part
god.
when they were
Uh,
inserting it into her. They were like, "Don't think about running. We'll know where you are, and don't think about trying to pull it out because it will melt your brain. Like, there's enough explosive in it to
awesome.
kill you, and we will know if you try to remove it." That's why she's so upset about it. Like, not only
It's like
have
a
they
slave. It's a
collared her,
slave
but they put a
collar.
kill switch on it.
Yeah.
So
It's like the detonating slave collar.
yeah, from like Running Man.
Running Man. There's also an anime that has it that I.
There's, I think, a Next Generation episode that also has them.
Yeah.
It's a very cliche thing.
Yes.
Anyway, so they've only just called this truce. They're going to class, and the resistance are on campus.
Yeah.
And the resistance, they don't just steal children, teenagers, young adults, whatever. They are taking
Mhm.
anybody of a higher tier gifted level. Like, they don't explain what these gifted tier levels are.
They
Not that I
don't.
really give two
Not
shits about
now,
it
at
either.
least.
I don't care.
Yeah.
Like, there's top tier, which apparently all of her bond group are. And then there
Mhm.
are lower tier. And that's all they say about it. So they just grab people hoping that they will grab a top tier person when they grab
Mhm.
Sage. Ollie
Yeah.
is like, listen, there's only one person on campus that has my back, and that's Sage. And I like her brother. He's really cool. And I like the guy that likes her. He's
Mhm.
also really cool. And
Mhm.
he's showing her love that her bond, central bond, is not showing.
Yep.
So I'm gonna go after them. Pardon me. I keep hiccuping and burping.
That's all right.
So the
So she
resistance
does
grabs
go
Sage, and
after.
she goes after Sage.
Yeah.
Allows herself to be captured, because part of the gifts, there are all different kinds of gifts. Um there are things called neuros who basically just fuck with your brain, who can do things with
Mhm.
your brain. And not all these gifted types are the same. So like
Yeah.
Felix, who likes Sage, he's a healer.
Mhm.
Doesn't I don't think there's a cap on what he can heal, because he's actually a top tier. But Sage is also a top tier because she's a flame. She
Yeah.
can um, start fires, I think, but
She
definitely
should
can manipulate
create
them.
fire.
Yeah, she can definitely
Yeah.
manipulate them. So there is a type of neuro in the resistance they call like sniffers or something like that, that can detect what other gifted are.
Mhm.
And there is a sniffer there that knows Ollie.
Ollie has, yeah,
Um,
power.
she doesn't know how much, but she knows Ollie's signature or something like that. So they capture Sage. The sniffer knows that there is another really high tiered gifted. They capture Ollie because Ollie lets them.
Mhm.
Um, at this time, by the way, Atlas is at the school. That's very important
Yeah.
for
There's a
later.
couple things that happen in between before. Let's finish out the rest of the book and then we'll jump back.
Yeah, I'll let you do
Um,
it because I will go off on tangents and ask questions. As
no,
soon
it's
as we can
okay. So
finish the quick summary, then we can get into those.
just help me out with the rest of the book too, because it was kind of a bit of a blur to me. Because
Mm-hmm.
she gets captured, she releases some of her power, which was to make people believe their worst nightmares and it's so visceral and real to them that they pass out or die. I don't
They
know. That wasn't
die.
very.
They die.
They died.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. They died.
She calls it her
And
brain melting. Like she
yes,
just makes their terror real, and it melts their
real.
brain. Like blood's coming out of their eyes and their ears, and they just
Yeah.
writhe on the floor.
So they died. Yeah.
They
So she
died.
can straight up kill people very easily.
And this is the first time
And
anybody sees it, because not only is Sage
yeah,
captured, but
Gabe gets
Gabe
captured.
decides to go after her
Yeah.
and gets himself captured as well. And she
So I think
freaks
there's a
out.
couple other people there too, but it's Sage and Gabe and her
Yeah, the
in the
TAC
same
teams come
area.
in. There's some other students that were all captured.
Yeah.
But the TAC team is able to locate her due to the chip
Yep.
and extract everybody. But only after Ollie kills everybody.
Yep.
Like,
And
like
she also
Nox is
reaches out
there.
to the rest of her bonds just to let them know, like, hey, this is my power. This is me. Come find me.
They're all there. The TAC team
Yeah.
and all of the bonds are there watching her. And Nox is like,
Yeah.
"You're poison. You can't do anything." And she like looks at him and like clenches her fist, and like 100 people around them just die.
Yep.
And she's like,
Like a
"Really?"
freaking wizard. I love it.
It was a very Thanos like move.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
And good
that's
on
the
her
end of
because
the
Nox,
book.
that's the end of the book.
That's the end of the book.
I think don't the rest of them get captured too, or am I going
They're not
crazy?
they're not captured. They're waiting for evac. And
Got
that's
it.
when the 100 resistance soldiers show up, and she's
Yeah.
just like, "Nope, not gonna let this happen."
You're dead.
No, because
So
Nox is
obviously she is
drained.
extremely powerful.
Yeah.
And that's the reason why she's one of the reasons she's suppressed it so long.
Yes.
Uh so a little thing about Nox. If he straight up R words her. And so she kind of pissed everyone off, all the Dravens and everything,
Mm-hmm.
when Atlas shows up out of the blue.
Yep.
Atlas takes her out of there.
She's
Time
in
to
a
go.
very shitty dorm room. Like, there's no
She is.
comforts or anything like that.
Yeah,
Um,
it's like Spartan. She has
there's
like 5 articles of clothing. That's it.
Yeah, they won't let her get a job. She can't pay for
Yeah.
anything. They keep calling her a gold digger and
Yeah.
a brat and these kind of things, and she's like, I can't
I
really
didn't ask for any of this. You literally just stole me and
right off the
threw a
street.
microchip in me. Yeah.
She was like, I was at work. I was working. If I
Yeah.
wanted your money, I would have come after you. But she's not telling them any of this. She's just like
No, she's just
monologuing
whining about it.
in her own
Yeah.
head. Um,
Yeah. Which is endlessly frustrating. But
it is, but at the same time, she's a child. Like,
yeah, she's definitely young minded.
and tempers are
So
very high. Like everybody
yeah.
is on a short goddamn leash.
So
Um,
she goes and stays the night at Atlas's
yeah,
apartment.
he rents an apartment,
And
and he's like,
Griffin,
fuck this. You're gonna be staying with me. You're
yeah,
not staying in the shithole.
Griffin knocks down the door and
North comes
yoinks her out
in.
of there.
No, it's
North
North.
comes in.
North comes
I
in.
thought it was both. It was North. Okay.
Yeah, North
So I
comes
can't get
in,
these boys straight.
grabs her, and he's like, "This is out. You're not in your dorm. There's a curfew. What the hell
There's
are
a
you doing?"
curfew.
And Atlas is like, "Listen, she's my bond too." And he's like, "She's got rules. Otherwise,
Yeah.
her ass is grass."
Hmm.
And he's like, "You can't do that." And he's like, "Watch me." And so they, instead of taking her back to the shitty dorm, he takes her to his house that he
Yep.
shares. Like, it's like a bond house. So even though it's a big ass fucking
Yeah.
mansion, it's Draven Manor. Um,
They all they all live there though.
they all have rooms there. Apparently, North had rooms built for each of the Bond members in
Hmm.
anticipation of them finding their central before she ran off. So
Hmm.
they all have. He has the space, but of course, he's not explaining any of this to anybody.
No.
So she's just being dragged back across town,
Against her will.
thrown
And she's
into a
like,
room, and locked.
And
Well, like she doesn't. It's not. She's not locked in, but she's not really allowed to leave either.
yeah.
Um.
But like almost immediately, she's already gone through all this trauma,
Mhm.
like back to back. Uh and almost immediately Knox hones in on her and tries to force the bond,
Yeah.
otherwise known as rape, guys.
Yeah.
Um,
Cause
and
he keeps saying stuff, stupid shit like I'm gonna
yeah,
get what I'm owed. I'm owed
yes.
this power. Like you had no right
I
to
know you've made me
run.
wait for too
You made me
long.
wait
You're just a
five
giftless
years, and
whore.
like
Yeah,
we could have taken care of you. Those guys would have given
right.
you the world. All you had to,
Entitled.
yes, very
Absolutely an
very
entitled
entitled,
asshole.
and she is able to withdraw the bond enough to not cement it.
Yep.
Um,
But she does orgasm. But
yes,
in order to suppress her bond from bonding during this time, it's extremely painful. So
yep.
she's sitting there like naked,
She's half naked
shaking,
up against a door, and he's
yeah,
just like, "See, you're just absolutely useless," and he walks off.
useless. Exactly.
Um,
That was a really hard scene to get through for me because it's just like I can't believe this is happening right now. Why isn't anyone else? Don't they have like a weird connection? Why isn't anyone else coming to her rescue? Like
no,
I don't understand.
no, because they're not bonded. They are
That's true.
bonds. There's no
Yeah.
there's no way to keep an open round of communication unless everybody's in the same room. So
Right.
she goes into her new bedroom, sits on the bed, and Atlas is just texting up a storm. He's like, "What's
Mhm.
going on? Like, I can't believe you did something, like drag you out of bed. It's like 2 a.m. Are you okay?" She's like, "No, Knox
She
just
tells him,
Knox just fingered me against the door, and I had to stop the bond from happening, and just leave me alone right now. I'll talk to you tomorrow."
and
And
she
turns
shuts
off the
her.
phone.
Yeah.
Atlas does not react well to any of that, because he has routinely told her in the months that they've been talking on the phone, like, I don't care whatever reason you had for not coming 5 years ago, doesn't
Hmm.
matter now.
Doesn't matter to me.
Let's start fresh. Let's get to know each other. And then we can take this as, and
He's the
she's,
only level-headed one of the
mm-hmm.
five.
He's like, I don't
Uh,
care. We'll get to know each other. And if we bond, we bond.
yeah.
If we don't, that's fine. I don't need that.
I just
I'm,
want to get to
I
know
just want to
you.
get to know you. I've been dreaming of having my perfect person since I
Yeah.
was a child. That's all I want. And
And you get the
she kind of gets a little fluttering for him, and it's kind of
she
cute.
does, but she makes it clear, and at least in her thoughts, that she feels that she's leading him on. That
Mm-hmm.
she's
She does mention
uh
it to him a couple of times. She's like, I'm sorry, I can't do anything else."
this is not going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Um.
he shows up in a tantrum, like you
Yeah.
do. And he tells everybody what she had texted him, and she's like, "Listen, he didn't exactly do that, but he didn't exactly not do that." Like,
It was straight up assault,
yeah.
but
Oh yeah. But
whatever.
she's like, Knox and her both agreed that if she wanted him to stop, she would have. She could have.
But that's the
But she's
thing, she
like she's
couldn't
like,
have
I
because
don't
of the
want to
bond.
hurt him. And if I had
I
tried to
guess
stop
so.
him, then I would have hurt him. And I
I
can't do
still,
that.
the whole thing gives me the huge
It's
ick, and I
it's no. No, no, no,
the
no, no, no.
connotations are there and they're
Yes.
bad.
They're not great. So that is basically, there are some subplots in there that are actually very good. They make the whole thing
Yes,
just kind of better. The whole,
it's fun.
like, yeah, like the
Let's not
whole,
get into the full details. You
no,
go
no,
read
read the
it
book.
if you
Read the
guys
book.
are interested.
Okay, so I'm gonna give you three questions. You give me three questions. Okay.
Okay.
Where would you rank this? Is this a romance? Is this a smut, or is this erotica?
Ooh, I would put this one. I don't even want to say it's a romance. I would say it's a teen fantasy, teen dark fantasy.
Okay.
Uh, there's no romance in it until
Well, there
yeah,
is.
there's not.
Yes, there
The
is.
kind of with between her and
Atlas,
Atlas,
yeah.
and then all that's happening inside her head. So I guess yeah, teen dark romance, academia, fantasy.
I would not say this is smut. There is no smut.
It is not. There is
And
none.
if
There's
it
absolutely none, guys.
if and if it can't breach the level of smut, there ain't no way it's erotica.
No.
And just to give a reference, we'll say that erotica, we'll put Claiming of Sleeping Beauty up there with erotica. That was straight up porn.
Yes.
That's,
The
oh
whole
my
ride.
god.
The whole ride.
And you're thinking about it, it's making my cheeks red. Like that is just straight up erotica.
Yes.
There's no smut in this though, so I would definitely put this in romance myself. It's a romance book, but it's a
Yeah.
young adult romance. You know,
It is.
because like it's there's a couple of makeouts, but not really.
Not really.
Yeah.
It's
Um.
very PG-13.
Yeah. Except for they say fuck a lot. She says fuck a lot.
I know. That was another thing I wanted to complain about. It was just so much unnecessary swearing. And I don't think I feel like if I were a teenager reading this book, I'd be very like eye rolly. Like seriously, this is an adult trying to pass as
This
a
is a
kid.
child trying to pass
Yeah.
as an adult. Is
Like
what that
how do
is.
you do, fellow kids? Kind of
Yeah.
vibe.
Is that what you
Uh,
got? Because I did not get that. I got
I got that
I
from the
got
like
toddlers in a trench coat.
author.
Okay, that's what I got. I got toddlers in a trench coat.
Yeah. Yeah.
You if you got
Basically.
Steve Buscemi saying hello, fellow teenagers, like I didn't get that at all.
No, I'm talking from like the writer's point of view because like the writer's an
Okay,
adult
okay.
and she's writing this teen romantasy academia. But when you throw a bunch of fucks in there for no reason,
It,
that's annoying.
I think curse words are a very legitimate form of expressing yourself. You just have to know
Sure.
when to add in that flavor. It's like it's like
Not all the
spices,
time.
okay? You don't need all of the spices in the spice cabinet all the time. Little bits, little
Little
bits.
sprinkle.
Yeah.
A
Um
well placed fuck.
okay, so so your first question. What's your first question?
Oh goodness. What drew you into this book to make you want to read it 3 times? The three, maybe 2 times before you had to for our podcast here.
So for the first time I read it was like 3 years ago, and there were only like 2 books out. So anytime that there was a new book, I would reread it. But
Okay.
like I would log in and see that, oh, book 4 and 5, I've somehow missed the 4th release. Now 5 is
Hmm.
open, you know. So I read 1 and 2, and
Hmm.
then 3 came out. I was like, okay, let's do that. And so I read 1, 2, 3.
Hmm.
I was like, okay, okay. And now I missed 4. 5's out. So then I'm 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I
Okay.
have not read 6 yet. They'll probably read 6 this time. So this is
Okay.
technically my 4th read. Um,
Okay.
but I basically have just watched this series get released.
Right.
Um,
You were there from the beginning, so
Kinda, yeah.
you
Um,
had invested some
the
interest
art,
into it.
I am that bitch, okay? I love a good cover, and this art is what initially drew me in, okay?
Me too. Okay.
I have
I
not seen it in
love a good
color.
cover.
I've not seen it in color. I've only ever seen it on a paperweight. This, and by the
It's
way,
so
let me
gorgeous in
just
cover
say that the
color, by
scribe
the way.
is great for showing off covers now. Like,
It is.
my
It's much
paperweight
bigger.
was not very big. This is pretty big. I can show off
Yeah.
covers. I can
Mhm.
because it'll actually show covers now too. That's the best part. So
Yeah.
this cover actually drew me in at first.
Mhm.
Um, and I didn't even realize the first time I read it that there was no smut in it. Not that that's
Mhm.
like the reason I read books, but
Mhm.
that's a reason why I read a lot of books. Uh, so
Yep.
that was what drew me first was the cover. Um, and then because the books were coming out, now here's another thing: if you are gonna get me into a series, there has to be a decent schedule to the release of your books. Okay, 6 books is a lot of books,
Yeah.
and these were actually released in a fairly well planned timetable. So like I would wait maybe 6 months or a year, but I because I'm reading so much, I didn't
Mhm.
really notice until it was like, oh, here's another book in the series that you started in my Kindle. Like on the front page of my Kindle, it'll give me that like these are continuing the series you've already started, and then I would see one and I was like, oh, that's right. So because it had been so long, maybe a year or two, I'd need to
Mhm.
go back and refresh. I wouldn't need to, but I would like to because sometimes, like, if it's been a year and I have only had one book, I may not
Mhm.
remember that story at all because I do read so much. And so many of these stories borrow from each other
Yeah, definitely.
that I could get confused. Um, but if I know that there's going to be another book, I will usually go in and put that book on my to be read list in Kindle, my
Mhm.
reading list, and then I would I used to I don't do it so much anymore because I have so much already on the Kindle and so many on the bookshelf that I really don't do this anymore. But every couple of months I'd go through that book list and see what was available because
Mhm.
sometimes it would happen and I wouldn't catch it in my here's a series that you started kind of thing. And so like I just go through, oh, this one's now available. Cool. I'll read that. Oh, this one's available right after that. So that's how a lot of
Mhm.
my series first start. Um, Now that I'm on book 5, and I've read this series so many times, like as soon as you said, "Oh yeah, Broken Bonds," I was like, I know exactly what book that is, and it's not bad.
It
It's
was
not
on my
great.
TBR for so long because of that book cover. So gorgeous.
I mean, and all of them are
Yeah.
gorgeous. You can Google all 6 of the book covers because all 6 have been released now. I think the series is now complete. I hope to God
Mhm.
there's not a 7th. They are very well done. Like whoever that
Good.
artist is, and for the longest time it took me a while to figure out who was who because I really don't give two shits about people's descriptions in books. That's not why I'm reading it. Um,
I can't tell you. I couldn't tell you. I understand the differences now, the subtle differences,
mm-hmm.
but they're especially at this point in the series journey,
Yeah.
a lot of them act the same. So,
Um.
or
Yes.
similar.
Yes. Give. I mean, if you're gonna continue with the series, and I do suggest you do because it does get better. She doesn't. Well, she does kind of get better too. But I mean,
If she
like,
gets better,
I can't say anything because it'll ruin it for you.
no,
Um.
I
But it does get better. Okay. So my second question for you then.
know.
Um. Aside from me saying, "Bitch, you can't stop reading now. You
Mhm.
cannot DNF." What What was it in the story that made you finish? Like after that what was that hurdle you had to get over? Like
I
was there a
think it
line? Was there a
was
scene or something like that?
uh I think it was the exposition about all their powers. And because it was so nebulous for so long, and they finally get to this university and they kind of explain the bonded and everything, I'm like, okay, this is a plot that I can get behind.
Mm-hmm.
I'm actually interested in seeing where this is going. It wasn't like an exact scene because I feel like the scenes were very much high school.
Oh
Uh
yes.
very much high school. Uh um yes. But yeah, it got to the point where they were finally explaining how bonds work and the kind of little fishing hook that the way to secure bonds and grow their powers is by having sex.
Mm-hmm.
I just wanted to see if that was going to happen this time. I'm glad that it didn't. I like, obviously, a slow burn person. Um and the fact that it didn't just devolve quickly into smut right away, I feel like that would have been very cheap,
Mm-hmm.
given this plot and story. So I am intrigued now. um but yeah, I don't know if I have any more questions for you though. um let's see, let me think. Who is your favorite?
My favorite of the men or favorite
Yeah.
all overall?
Okay, favorite overall, and then of her bonds.
Um, Favorite character overall. Felix. No, Karen. Kieran Black. Kieran Black is actually one of my favorites.
Really?
Yes. He's the
Okay.
guard that tackled her when she
Yeah.
was captured. Um, of my and then my second favorite character overall, and who is actually my favorite of the Bonds, is Griffin, who is his boss.
I like Griffin too.
Oh wait,
Griffin,
Vivian's pretty good too, though.
I like Vivian. Vivian's the
Vivian,
coach, right?
yeah, Vivian is the trainer. He's a grizzled old man.
I
She's like,
love Vivian. I fell in love with Vivian.
he
He's my
actually
he's
really
my
really
best friend.
likes Ollie, and it takes a
Mhm.
while for them to warm up to each other. But she initially thought when Griffin was like, oh, or no, Gage just said that Gabe said that she was going to meet Vivian, and she better watch her
Mhm.
smart mouth, because no shit gets talked in Vivian's gym. That Vivian was like
Yep.
a battle worn woman. No, he's a
Yeah.
fat old trainer.
He's a
He's a
fat
fat
old
old
man
man, and
with the lanyard with a whistle.
yeah,
Like I could see he's got a
yeah,
baseball cap on.
yeah.
Like
And he
I
doesn't take
know
any
that
shit.
person.
He doesn't take any
No.
shit, but he does like her in her sass.
Yep.
And he doesn't hold any punches. Like, he thinks that she's holding back a lot of the time, which she is. Like, nobody knows that except for Felix, because Felix had to
Mhm.
heal her once, and he got a glimpse
Yep.
of what was going on under the hood. Um,
Mhm.
Vivian. So I guess it's tied between Vivian and Kieran.
I like that. That's a good answer.
But the
And
Bonds
yeah.
definitely is Griffin. He sounds very he's very closed off in the first book. He doesn't say much to her, but he actually does care quite a bit. I know this is what I call player knowledge, not character knowledge in D&D. Like, me
Yeah.
know because I know a lot more, but even in that first book, he does show a soft
Yeah.
side.
Let's
Um
not spoil it.
I'm not going to
But
spoil it.
there's a certain scene where he uses his power, and it's
Mhm.
very cute. Very cute.
Yeah.
And I completely turned my opinion around on him. I was like, "Oh, I like him. Like a soft-spoken dude
Mhm.
that just does
Good
good
things.
good things."
So the second book cover is actually of Griffin.
Okay.
You know it's him because he's got the longer hair and he's got the scar through his eye, which
Mhm.
is something that she notices when they first meet. So yeah, those are my two picks. You got a
All right.
third question for me?
Hmm.
I can ask my third question if you'd
I
like.
can't I can't ask you questions because you have the knowledge of the rest of the series. Because like I want to ask prediction knowledge, like
Oh,
prediction questions,
okay. Well, then
but
let me
can't.
ask you that, because that was going to be my third
Okay.
question. What do you
Yeah.
think is the reason that she's running from the resistance?
The reason she's running from the resistance, I think, not to be part of the trope, but I think she's like some sort of chosen, gifted person.
Okay.
that some sniffer dog sniffed out that she was some like tactical nuke that they can have under their possession and use in like war or whatever the
Mhm.
hell else is going on. So she ran away. And I think she is the reason her family got killed because they were trying to find her. Or they were like, oh, someone here has an insane amount of power.
Mm.
Let's either kill them all or capture and kill them. Then she ran away.
Okay.
Um, my other theory is the reason she doesn't want to, unless it's said in the book, I don't think it is in this book. The reason why she doesn't want to bond and become more powerful, um, or the bond, is the fact that she either kills them while during the bonding process because of her power being unleashed,
Mhm.
or she becomes this like evil entity that can like wipe out humanity. That's those are my predictions.
Okay. All right.
It might not be as grandiose as that.
I mean, that's a pretty damn good prediction if I had to say.
But yeah,
Okay, I'm not going to say if you're wrong or right, but that's a pretty damn good prediction.
guess we'll find out.
So, okay. We have come to the end of our time. Before we leave, I do want to say, now that we have our videos converted into podcasts, and we did it, I know it has taken a while for our videos to do that. Our apologies. We're trying to get everything converted. Well, to podcasts that's already available on YouTube. We're still going to be posting YouTube videos because let's face it, we kind of have fun doing this.
Yeah,
Um,
I like it. It's fun.
and our plan is to eventually do it in person so we're not sitting in our own homes away from each other. Like we can sit there, toast, drink some wine, whatever, margaritas,
Yes,
share some books. um
margaritas for sure.
oh yes, tequila baby. um
Mhm.
so we are planning to still do videos and such like that. But we decided to start doing podcasts of our videos because not a lot of people can actually sit down and just watch a YouTube video
Yeah.
for an hour. And I know we just crossed that hour point, but you could sit there and just listen while you're at work. So we are on almost every podcast platform available that I know of to get on. The only
Mhm.
one we're not able to get on at this time is TuneIn, and that's because they're not accepting any more podcasts. So,
Mhm.
if there is a platform that we are not on, it's the same name, um, Pretty Little Death. You can find us on Spotify, on Pandora, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, iHeartRadio. We're on all of them. But if there is a platform we're not on, please send me a message, leave a comment, something like that, and let me know, and I'll see what I can do about getting us on that. Um, so we're going to be releasing videos and podcasts on the same day
Mhm.
once we get caught up with all of our past episodes. So
Yes.
if we this is coming out on the 24th because that's the day we always release our book of the months
Book
for
of
the
the
book
month.
club. Um this and the podcast, if everything else has been caught up already, it should be available together on that day. Right now, we're releasing our older podcasts every 2 days so that all of the catalog is available when we become current. And if we haven't this month, then we will next month. Um, so we do have some other things in the works. But
Yes.
before we
So
announce our book,
fun things.
fun things. Before we announce our next book of the month, let's go back over our rules because I think now that
Yes.
we have changed things from picking the two
Yeah, it's a
books,
good little
we should
reminder.
just refresh ourselves. So, our
Yeah.
first rule is it has to be a romance, a smut, or an erotica. Um,
Mhm.
it has to be. Like, that's what we talk
Yeah.
about for the book of the month. Everybody loves those ones, so let's go with that. It must
Yes.
be completed by the 24th of the month because we
Yep.
post on the 24th of the month, so it has to be done by then. We have to finish reading. That's why poor
Yep.
Cass had to finish reading by last night.
It was my own damn fault.
And then our third rule, which is the most important rule that we're going to try very, very hard not to break anymore, is no DNFs. It has to be
No
finished.
DNFs.
No DNFs.
Even if it's the most garbage of the garbage, we're gonna have
Yes.
to suffer through.
Suffer through it, sister. Um,
Yeah.
all right, so those are our rules. What is our book for August? Because this is July. Like, I can't believe we're
I
already at
know. We're
July.
already halfway through the year, more
Yeah.
than halfway through
Well,
the
I mean,
year.
we did
It's
start
freaking
this on
crazy.
in February, so like
We did.
it's been a it's been a minute. So,
This is so cool. Yes, our book of the month is the third in the series of the Brutes of Bristlebrooks,
mhm.
called Entwined.
Now I know everybody's like, wait a
Yeah,
minute, wasn't that supposed to be July? Yes, it
it was.
was. It was supposed to be released on the 15th of July.
Yep,
It was not. It got pushed back to the 15th of August.
August. Yeah.
So, at this time, it will be August's book. We'll have to.
Well,
I don't think we're going to have a hard time, reading it in 9 days. Or,
I'm
yeah,
gonna
9 days.
inhale it in probably 2 days, like I did the rest of.
Yeah.
So,
All right.
yes,
Oh,
I'm so excited.
okay. So I need to, because I did put all those podcasts up. I have been listening to them again. I have to
Mhm.
I have to apologize to you, Cass.
Yep.
I was listening to our Akatar series,
Yeah.
and you had asked a question on whether or not I thought that Rhysand was an afterthought and put into the story after the writing of the book. And I said no. No, I
Hmm.
don't think that's the case. I think he was always meant to be there. And now that
Hmm.
I've spent some time away from that trashy set, and I'm saying that was absolute garbage. As a whole, the series was just trash.
Hmm.
Yes, I think Rhysand was put into book 1 as an afterthought to make it a series.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because it sounds
because
like it felt like the plot was already
yeah,
cemented
yeah. And I
before that happened.
and the reason, like, every time I think about him in helping her during the tournament, that dick
Hmm.
did not help her with anything.
Not
A
at all.
thing.
And then you would think in the second or third book they would elaborate, maybe think behind the scenes, maybe he
Nope.
was trying to convince
Nope.
her. No,
Nope.
not a
I
thing. He
think he was
just
an afterthought
sat
that was
there.
added in to, like, because I remember us discussing, like, was this supposed to be a series? And I remember saying no, I don't think it was.
Yeah.
And then I listened back to that podcast and I was like, okay, I already said that I didn't think this was supposed to be a series. So how does Rysand play into that if he was supposed to be in the story? And then I realized he wasn't.
Yeah.
I think it was just supposed to
I
be a
got those
messenger
vibes.
from the queen, like just a nobody, a throwaway character, like so many that are in that first fucking book.
Hmm.
And then she was like, "You know what? I think I should make this a series. So what can I do? Oh, I already have this guy. Let's go in and
The
change a couple
only
of things." There we go.
the only argument that I can see to the contrary is that she already had the whole uh I what's that Throne of Glass series out.
Mhm.
And I believe that, don't correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm not into SJ Moss uh, series and releases. I think she's mostly a series creator, correct?
I
She
have no
doesn't do any
idea.
singles.
I have no idea.
Um,
But I
so I
mean,
can
it's
see
been
that
20
being an
years since
argument.
the first book. So, from what I understand,
That's true.
uh,
They were not released
Akatar,
very quickly together.
no,
Yeah.
Akatar was first, and
Hmm.
then she did Throne of Glass. But that doesn't mean that when they were reviewing or editing Akatar, they were
I
like,
see.
this could have
We can
been,
make. Yeah.
yeah. So I
Interesting.
retract
Okay.
my former statement made a couple of months ago. Yes, I think Rysand was an afterthought and put in so this could be a series. And y'all could come for me. I don't care. Akatar is shit.
Okay. I don't believe it's shit. I disagree.
That's fine.
I
That's why
think
I'm the critic and you're the bestie because you're every girl's bestie. You're gonna love them. I think they were
I
shit.
try. I try to look for the good in everything, but
Yeah.
I feel like the first book, other than Frost and Starlight, is my least favorite of the series. I think the second book is the best. The third book is good, solid,
Mm-hmm.
but it's mostly war.
Yeah.
And then the fourth is trash, and then the fifth is just smut. And I hate Nesta, so it wasn't exciting for me. So
Well, I love you. Thank you so much for taking some time out to sit and talking about the book. Um,
yeah, of course,
I
it
love
was
you.
fun. I love you too.
I have so many books to recommend to you now that you're done with this one, if you
Hmm.
have time.
Hmm.
And I think, hold on, let me, hold on, hold on.
Hmm.
I know I've sent you a couple of books, but I just picked up
Yes.
one, and it is called. Wait, go to the library. Okay, all right. Oh, yes. Okay, and it is called